Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome. It's been a long time since I've done a live video, so I figured it was just getting the time. Today is the perfect opportunity because I actually want to look at something that has come up today in the news that I just want to really kind of get to the bottom of this. Right now, we're still waiting on information about it. Basically, it looks like Russia may have sent some missiles into Poland. From the pictures that are showing up, it looks like there was some kind of missile strike that hit Poland. And that news has kind of been starting to break over the last few hours, at least on my YouTube channel today. And so today is what day? November 15th, something like that, or the 14th? Let's look. It is the 15th. So anyway, I wanted to dig in and see a little bit about what on earth is actually really going on. There's a lot of different stories coming out of Russia. Um, one of the stories is that it's a provocation to escalate things. I forget who they said had started that provocation. Another story that came out of Russia is the truck that's pictured near the hole from the missiles, the crater from the missiles, that it blew up because of grain dust, which caused the explosion. Um, one of the other stories is that a U.S. airplane was being refueled above the area and somehow caused the damage. I'm an ex-Air Force girl. I was only in for 4 years, and it was a long time ago, but refuelers were around, and I can tell you unequivocally that they were not armed with missiles. So that story just doesn't even make sense at all. So I just wanna kinda dig in and see. Apparently, I heard some news that was unconfirmed, which so far, basically all these theories are unconfirmed too. I heard some news unconfirmed that these missiles were tracked by US intelligence over Poland. Russian missiles were. That's unconfirmed as of yet, so we don't know that for sure. Really, we don't have anything confirmed about who actually did this. Of course, everybody's looking at Poland and thinking maybe they miscalculated their target. Maybe they were trying to get something in Ukraine and missed their coordinates. I don't think that they're that stupid. They've been doing this for 8 months. Personally, I would lean more towards they had a accidental misaim, shall we say. That wasn't so accidental. President Putin really needs to have the story that he's up against NATO because it looks really bad if he cannot beat Ukraine, who's a tiny little country next to his giant country. So if he's actually up against NATO and he loses, well, then it doesn't look like he's so bad. Then it looks like he's the underdog. So there is some mind game stuff that comes into play on all this stuff too. So there's a lot to actually be looked at here. First of all, I want to find out, um, I want to look at was that actually missiles that hit the ground in Poland where this happened. And it's interesting, I'm just realizing as I'm shuffling my deck, guess what deck I'm using? The Russian Tarot of St. Petersburg. I just pulled it out of the my box of decks because it's its turn to be used. All right, so first question is, were these actually missiles that created the crater in Poland, the explosion? Well, this is interesting because definitely there's a fight going on there. So I don't know that we would call these missiles. There may have been something else that happened here. We do have the Five of Swords coming up in the spread, which does talk. This is about a fight. So this is something that was intentional. It was not, or at least it was a part of a fight. So it wasn't like an accident. An accident would not be a part of a fight. And I'm going to say too, from these cards that I'm seeing, Whatever this was that was delivered that caused this explosion is something that this is somebody's paying someone back for something that they've done to them. Our justice card comes up here, and this is karma, this is payback type stuff here. So this is telling me. Also, we have the King of Cups showing up before that. King of Cups. I think Putin has a Scorpio rising, and a lot of times my risings show up in my court cards. So we've got our King of Cups showing up here. This could indicate Putin. Biden has Scorpio on his sun. So we could potentially be talking about Biden. I find that less likely. Sun signs usually are not as strong in my readings. Usually it's the ascendant that shows up on a court card. So I would lean more toward this. That's the Putin making some kind of payback. I also think he's been looking forward to doing this for a while. He's probably been toying with this idea and thinking about this for a while. With that fight card coming up, like I said, I feel like this is really an intentional thing. I also feel like this is something that now he feels like, okay, the debt has been evened up or the score is now even. So apparently, Poland has done something to him that he feels like he has to pay them back for. Well, that's true. That's why we're looking at cards because we don't want to be guessing. And there's going to be a swirl of information around this. Like I said, when I opened this up, there are so many different theories about what has happened at this point, most of them coming from Russia, like three different theories from Russia. So Poland isn't saying for sure anything. The US isn't saying for sure anything. Nobody's trying to actually say what the story is until they investigate, except Russia with their three different stories that don't match up and some of which don't make sense at all. So, anyway, I want to look at if that's not a missile strike, which I was looking at. One commentator earlier was talking about that crater says it's a missile strike. If that's not a missile strike, is that a strike from a drone? It's like I said, I had also seen something where U.S. intelligence had seen Russian missiles over Poland, but that was unconfirmed. So I don't really like that's a thought out there, but that's not necessarily how it is. And that's something that somebody who was an anonymous source gave that. So anonymous sources, we don't know about that. Let's look at was this a strike from above to start with? Let's find out if it even was a strike from above. Hmm. This was not even a strike from above, so that's really interesting. So we know that it's something that came from somebody paying Poland back for something. Was not a strike from above. Was this a landmine that was placed? A false flag, I think, is more like when somebody says somebody else is going to do something. It's not an actual action from what I've seen so far. Was this a landmine that was placed? No. Was this an explosive that was placed on the vehicle that caused that crater? Now we're getting somewhere. There was an explosive that was placed on that vehicle, and this explosive that was placed on the vehicle, this was actually a situation of opportunity when the opportunity came up for this person to be able to do that. And I think that this person um, was not checking in with somebody about how to exact this revenge. They just had orders to get whatever this revenge is because they acted very independently. They didn't have a whole lot of people working over their shoulders. I do think they were doing this because of something somebody told them to do because it comes up as a work situation. So this is something somebody was doing. They were paid to cause this explosion over in Poland. Yeah, and like I said, it was a crime of opportunity. It was just making sure the right time, the right opportunity. This person, I think, has been looking to cause something like this for a while. Isn't this interesting? I do want to look and see exactly if Putin was behind this or not, because so far we just know that it was somebody trying to get some kind of revenge on Poland and that it was intentional. We know that the person acted very independently without checking in with people and found the crime of opportunity. But who was behind it? Was Putin actually behind this explosion that happened in Poland? Hmm. I think Putin knew about it. Putin knew something was going to go down, definitely. Tell you the truth, I think that he does wish that it would have been something that was bigger than this. He would like to have seen more people die out of this situation. But and maybe this is coming up that he wasn't exactly behind it because he wasn't micromanaging it. He just kind of gave the order. Did Putin give the order for this person to create this situation and then give the person sort of free rein after that? Ooh. Did Putin give the order for somebody else to give the order? I don't think he gave the order, but he's definitely here. He's at the top of the heap. I'm going to say, I think he told somebody else they need to do this. That's more of what it is. He basically told somebody else that they need to have somebody to create some kind of explosion in Poland. So his hands aren't exactly touching it. However, it does look like he's the mastermind. Let's look at what his intentions or motivations are, because we know that Putin does not think like we think here in the West. We've seen that already. He's done a whole lot of things that we just don't even think make sense. So let's see what his actual motivations were for that. We already know he was basically paying somebody back for something or paying Poland back for something in general. Let's look and see if there were other intentions as well. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He wants to see if people are going to live up to this whole Article 5 thing. He wants to know, is NATO going to drop the ball or not? He thinks they are. He thinks they are. And this is just his little test, his first test to see before he starts doing other things. Mhm. He thinks basically that he's expecting that NATO is just gonna sit around and cry and talk and not do much, not take any action. That's what he's expecting. This is just his little tester. He's dipping his toe in the water to see if that's how they're gonna react to something going off over in one of the NATO countries. He's also just trying to create chaos. Any kind of chaos he can create in the NATO countries works to his advantage because it looks to me like he wants to create chaos to get people to take their eye off of Ukraine and start to think about more about defending their own lands instead of helping Ukraine because now, Russia's kind of going rogue and they can do anything anywhere because they're unpredictable. It's kind of like pretend to be crazy and people will be afraid of you. This is more or less what we have going on here, just creating chaos so that people don't really know what to make their priority moving forward and really take that priority off of Ukraine. Looks to me like he's expecting us to scatter our resources so that that'll make things easier for him over in Ukraine. I feel like there's more though, so I want to look at what else comes up as a motivation. I don't feel like we're going to be able to actually tie him to this because I think he told somebody to tell somebody to do this. So he's not directly involved. And whoever actually got the order to do this already showed up earlier for those of you who are just coming in as work. This was a job. This was a paid job for somebody. It was not actually from the air. It was something that was an explosive that was planted as a matter of opportunity, as opportunity arose. And it was something that was planted on the vehicle. I'm looking at other motivations because, like I said, I feel like there's more than just that. Definitely, he sees this as benefiting him. He sees this as benefiting him. I don't know how he expects, but he sees this as benefiting him financially. I'm not sure how he sees that working. I might actually expand that to see how he sees that working. Mm. He's expecting to have people moving and changing location. So maybe he's expecting some of the Ukrainian soldiers to move and change location, but he's expecting movement. Maybe he's expecting people to start immigrating even out of Poland, which would that might make it easier for Belarusians to come in and do something crazy over there because the president of Belarusia has been saying stuff about Polish provocations lately and making a bunch of noise there. That would definitely be a distraction, which we had show up on the first line too. That would definitely be a distraction for us. That would take some stress off of him if we felt like we had oh, yeah. If we felt like we had other fronts opening up, that would take some stress off of him because then if the president of Belarus is dealing with something and we are kinda divided, that takes some stress off of him there. Three of Coins, he definitely wants to be working together with somebody else. He wants to have somebody that, he can collaborate with more. Right now, he's in a situation where there's not a lot of outside collaboration. You know, China was kind of maybe on the edge at the beginning of all this. They're not really collaborating at this point. Iran kind of is. They may be hoping to step up some kind of collaboration with other countries as well. Hmm. He's also wanting to use this, yeah, basically he's wanting to use this as to work out an advantage so that he can go back to some of that land that he's already taken. He feels like if we're distracted from helping Ukraine, he can grab back some of that land that he's already claimed as his, even though he wasn't occupying it when he first claimed it. And then also he's looking at adding some stress financially to everybody who is helping Ukraine. More financial stress, which we kind of saw earlier with that distraction. Interesting. Interesting. I'm not sure how people being on the move helps him financially, though. I want to know a little bit more about that, or helps Russia financially. How is this? Tell me more about this page of coins. I mean, I expanded it and that made sense to me, but I don't see how that fits with the page of coins. How does that, in his mind, how does that make it seem like he gets more money in the coffers for the war? It's not so much about money for him. It's about this idea of that it would put Ukraine in a situation where they're standing more alone or on their own again, like they were at the very beginning of this, because of the confusion that it brings in. And it also, at the same time, it also keeps him from standing alone. So basically, what my cards are telling me, if we want to sum everything up that I've seen here today, if I remember everything right, basically what we're seeing is that Putin was behind this, but ordered somebody to order somebody, maybe even a third layer to order somebody to actually do this. This did not actually come from the air. Right now, there's a lot of talk about this being missiles. This did not actually come from the air. According to my cards, this came because it was actually planted on a vehicle. Maybe the vehicle in the pictures of the crater, I don't know. Um, Probably. But this was planted on a vehicle, and it was a crime of opportunity that the person who did this really didn't know exactly how things were going to work out or how they were going to create this explosion in Poland. The opportunity came up, and this is what they did. This person who did this was a paid job for them. They earned money for doing this. Who knows if Russia actually paid them or not, but this was a job for them, so they were supposed to be earning money for this. Um, and motivations. Motivations, really biggest motivation I'm seeing here is make people afraid so that they leave even Poland as well. Also, make people afraid, feeling like they need to have stronger defense for their own countries and take their eyes off of Ukraine a little bit, start saving back some things for their own selves. He also wants to test NATO and see if NATO is actually going to drop the ball or not. He is totally expecting NATO to drop the ball here and not defend Article 5. He's expecting that that's not going to happen. Um, he's just expecting that NATO is going to do a lot of talking and not any action here. And their actions that they will do aren't actually going to be towards Russia as much as they're going to be towards Ukraine and pulling back from Ukraine, focusing more on themselves. He feels like this is going to be good for him too, because then this helps take some of the attention off of some of the places where he's really losing um, territory, and it's going to force Ukraine to think about defending that border over by Poland more heavily, just to see what else might come in, just to be on the safe side, basically. So that's going to give him a little extra breathing room over in Donetsk and Luhansk, and maybe even in the Kherson Oblast. Um, he's just looking to kind of pull some of that stress off himself. He's thinking that this might bring him more allies. Interesting thought there. And he's hoping that between the more allies and between us taking our focus off of Ukraine, that gives him the chance to come back in and recapture some of that land that he had before and capture some of the land that he claimed before he ever had occupied it to start with those referendums. And he's wanting to put financial pressure on all of the Western supporters also, because just to know that they need to restock themselves along with whatever they're doing for Ukraine and put financial pressure on them as well. He's feeling the financial pressure, the financial sting. Also, we had it showing up too that Poland was chosen basically because Putin has some kind of grudge that he's holding against Poland in particular. And he feels like this alleviates that grudge. This is that payback. Yes, yes. It was grain storage at a farm. I was wondering because one of their theories, they were trying to say that grain dust caused that truck to explode that's in that picture there. They've got like 3 things that they're saying how that could have happened. I talked about them at the front of the video, the 3 things that they're saying. So they've got 3 stories. Everybody else is trying to be quiet about it so far until they actually know what's up. But, Russia's out there with 3 stories they know, even though they're not supposedly in Poland. All right, guys. So I think that's about as deep as I want to dig into that. Actually, no, that's not. You know what I want to see? I want to see um, how is NATO actually going to respond to this when it's all said and done? That's the other thing I want to know because that's really important. How will NATO respond to this situation once they feel comfortable in knowing that they know what is going on? I am sure that he does. I'm sure he's got them here in the US and everywhere else. All right, so how is NATO going to respond to this explosion in Poland when it's all said and done? I would hate for Putin to be right about that. Hmm. They are going to make him pay, but I think it's going to be a while before they make him pay. All right. The first card we have, Six of Clubs, to me really talks about bringing soldiers into battle. The Six of Clubs talks about this would actually normally be more like what we're seeing in Kherson the last few days, where those soldiers are going in and those people are appreciating them so much for bringing them back their freedom. Every time I see one of those videos, it just makes me want to cry. Um, I feel like NATO is going to send in boots on the ground, more boots on the ground. I don't know that they're going to go into Poland, or I mean into Ukraine, but there is going to be a ramping up of military strength, I guess is the way I want to say that. Now, next card, Eight of Clubs. In reverse for how they're reacting, to me, this is saying sanctions, cutting them off even further from whatever they have access to at this point. I don't even know what they have access to at this point. What do they have access to? I don't even know. Also, this is like, we're not talking to you anymore. You know, where France and other places have been talking to them. This could be that, like France and Turkey and whoever else has been trying to keep the lines of communication open. This could be them saying, yeah, we're done. We're done talking. No more communication. All right. Page of Swords showing up in reverse. Digging for information, doing research. They are going to continue to do research, even as after they've got more boots on the ground and after they have decided to put sanctions, they're still going to be doing more research. To me, this is more like research about, is this a war crime or is this not a war crime? Now, Hermit coming up in reverse. This basically, especially following that research card, my Hermit coming up in reverse is saying we're taking all this information and we're looking at it thoroughly and we're sifting through it and we're figuring out what we're going to do with it. What are our priorities coming out with all this information? What are our priorities here? Where do we go from here? And then coming out to the public and making an announcement about what they're going to be doing. But we definitely have war crimes investigation there coming out later with an announcement. And we have Seven of Coins. That's payday. Somebody is paying. Somebody is paying for this situation. Okay. NATO is going to have somebody paying for this situation. I want to see what that payment looks like. I want to know if that payment is military repercussions towards Russia or not. Or is this more of like the person who actually planted the explosives getting some kind of sentence? Is this going to be about, show me about whatever is happening with this, somebody paying? Show me what I need to know about somebody paying for this situation. What does that look like? Well, part of this is sanctions, which I find really disappointing. I would like to see some freaking jail time or something here, honestly. Is that all there is? Because that's going to make me upset. No, that's not all there is. But they are going to take, it comes up again that they are going to really take some time to figure out what the repercussions are going to be. There is going to be a lot of posturing and stuff coming out of people's mouths before we actually see any kind of action. And after all the posturing and after the waiting, then what? Hmm. I see picking up responsibility, and I see being very focused about picking up responsibility about people's homes. Is this militarily, though? Is this any kind of military action? This is not military action. Mm-mm. I don't see any military action. I'm going to tell you, I think NATO drops the ball on this. They decided to let it slide because what have they been saying this whole time? They don't want to get us into World War III. So I think they're going to, militarily, they're going to let them get away with it, not sanctions wise. And yeah, I think this is crazy. I don't think we're going to have near as strong a reaction when it's all said and done as what we should. I do think that this is going to be investigated as a war crime, and I think somebody is going to be made to pay for that war crime. But I really don't see any kind of military action actually coming in other than strengthening boots on the ground. That's it. How disappointing. All right, guys. Well, that's now I'm going to get out of here. Everybody have a fantastic day. Peace out.